हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, दंडवत प्रणाम।
प्रणाम प्रभु जी, माता जी और ग्लोरी शिला प्रभुपाद।
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, दंडवत प्रणाम प्रभु जी।
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु माता जी, दंडवत प्रणाम।
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, दंड प्रणाम। जय श्रीला प्रभुपाद।
दंडवत प्रणाम नमस्ते श्रद्धेय माता जी। हरे कृष्ण।
दंडवत प्रणाम प्रभु जी। हरे कृष्ण।
दंडवत प्रणाम श्रीनिवास प्रभु। हरे कृष्ण। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे हरे। मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्येश्वरम्। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्ता स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे पंचतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपा स्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्ता शक्तिकम्। So today we will review the 10th chapter Shrimad Bhagavatam, first canto. Last chapter we saw the glorious passing away of Bhishma Dev. We saw various instructions that Bhishma Dev gave to Maharaj Yudhishthira, and then after enlivening Yudhishthir Maharaj, which was according to the plan of, after pacifying and enlivening Yudhishthir Maharaj, which was according to the plan of Lord Krishna. Bhishma Dev glorified Lord Krishna as a supreme personality of Godhead, the source of original, the original Narayan, Adi Purusha. And then he went through various meditations, how Krishna is just let me, he is like again and again saying, let me remember Krishna coming with the chariot wheel on his, holding a chariot wheel on his hand, with his body pierced by my arrows and blood oozing out, his hairs flowing, his flowing hairs. Let me remember the Krishna who is the Lord of the Gopis in Vrindavan, and who performed pastimes with Mother Yashoda, who is the original. In this way, various meditations we saw based on various pastimes that Lord enacted. And then he completely focused on the beautiful face of Krishna, and then he left the world. And the entire assembly, they were as silent as birds when the evening comes. They are completely silent. Likewise, nobody was speaking, and everybody kept Krishna in their heart and worshiped Krishna in their heart. And with Krishna in their heart, they left the assembly. And then Pandavas, Maharaj Yudhishthir, he, with the blessings of Dhritarashtra and Lord Krishna, he accepted the kingdom. Till that time, he was in the mood of resilience, not willing to accept the kingdom. So this 10th chapter begins with Sonaka Rishi asking Sutta Goswami, now how did Maharaj Yudhishthir rule the kingdom? So just the last verse was, he accepted the kingdom with the blessings of Lord Krishna and Dhritarashtra. How did he rule the kingdom? And Sonaka Rishi asked, certainly Maharaj Yudhishthir must not have engaged in unrestricted enjoyment. Now, if somebody has a leadership role, there is a lot of opportunities to enjoy because the facilities are there, whether it is wealth or any kind of enjoyment facility is there. So Prabhupada mentions in the purport, Maharaj Yudhishthir, he was ruling the kingdom only as a matter of duty, because he understood, he knew the goal of life is Krishna, and to attain Krishna and to please Krishna, and he was doing it only because this is what was Krishna's will. Just like we see even during the time of Lord Ramachandra, when Lord Ram took exile, Bharat, he ruled the kingdom only as a matter of duty, knowing it is actually Lord Ramachandra. And we also see that devotees, when they do any service at any level, they understand that Krishna, everything is happening by the will of Krishna. And the empowerment comes from Krishna, the inspiration comes from Krishna, and Krishna is the actual doer. They understand. And then wherever things don't go well, they always take shelter of Krishna, pray to Krishna, and Krishna rectifies. And they are very easily able to see that everything is happening and everything is successful or unsuccessful. Everything they see the hand of Krishna in that. So Maharaj Yudhishthir certainly did not consider himself as the king, but he ruled only as a matter of duty, as a representative of Krishna. We see that Arjuna also, he fought not as a great warrior, but he fought because Karishe Vachanam Tava, whatever you tell me, Krishna, I will do. And he later on says also, whatever I was able to do is only because it was the desire of the Lord. So a pure devotee always sees the hand of Krishna in everything that happens around them. He sees the hand of Krishna everywhere. And then after asking this question, how did he rule? Then Sutta Goswami starts speaking and he says, Lord Krishna was very, very pleased to see Maharaj Yudhishthir in the role of a kingdom. and the Kurus were all burnt in the bamboo fire of anger. Prabhupada translates bamboo fire of anger. And very beautiful purport Prabhupada says, what does bamboo fire of anger means? In this material world, especially in the forest, the forest fire occurs because of the rubbing of the bamboos, and nobody has to set the fire. So Prabhupada says the nature of this material world is everyone is trying to be the enjoyer. And when multiple people who are all trying to be the enjoyer, when they interact, they will fight among each other because they all want to be the enjoyer. And that creates the fire in this material world and end up in harming or killing each other. And the example here is Duryodhan. He wanted the kingdom. And because of his desire to lord over, desire to enjoy, he dig his own graveyard by going against Krishna, by fighting with Pandavas, by taking shelter of adharma. This is like bamboo fire. Means this nature of this material world is nobody has to set fire, but fire is there because of one's unrestricted desire. This material world is a very problematic place. There are laws of dharma, especially Srila Prabhupada says, no meat eating, no gambling, no illicit sex, no intoxication. There are laws set by the Lord. And when anybody breaks those laws with a desire to enjoy, there is fire created. Whenever anybody he goes against dharma, there will be fire, there will be troubles in their life. So this is what he says, that all the Kurus, because of their unrestricted desire to enjoy the kingdom, they took the support of adharma, and that fire, that anger, that fire burned all of them. And because all of them were burned, naturally Maharaj Yudhishthira was not happy at the death of all his relatives. But he just, imagine if you're given the kingdom and everybody whom you have some affection, they die. Now there is no inspiration also to rule the kingdom. And then the kingdom is ruled only as a matter of duty. Then Sutta Goswami started speaking about how did Maharaj Yudhishthira rule the kingdom. He says when Yudhishthira Maharaj took over the kingdom, the earth became very prosperous. The cows became very happy, so happy that when the cows were walking, they would moist the ground with the milk from their udders automatically. The mountains, hills, valleys, they would give natural ores, sapphires, minerals, gold. Mother Earth will give sufficient produce. This was only because Maharaj Yudhishthira was the leader. All the arrangements are made if somebody pious becomes the leader. And if somebody impious becomes the leader, it destroys, or Mother Earth withdraws, the nature withdraws, and the whole environment becomes polluted. It is said that the last pious king who was a devotee of the Lord was Parikshit Maharaj. We hear this coming many times in many places. This comes in Shrimad Bhagavatam. That's why Srila Prabhupada emphasized preach what you live by, or speak what you are acting, or preach by your example. That is called Acharya. Acharya means one who acts what he speaks. Then there will be potency. Yesterday I was reading somewhere, if somebody performs a sinful activity, then by seeing that person who performs sinful activity, the desire to perform sinful activity is transferred in the other person, just by that. And somebody who is very pure, by seeing that person who is very pure, the person who is seeing is also purified. That's why we say that the darshan of a pure devotee itself is very purifying. And the darshan, or by looking a sinful man, one becomes contaminated. That's where we see even Chaitanya Charitamrita, there is an example of when people would see, Chaitanya Charitamrita says, when people would see the faces of Jagai Madhai, they felt themselves contaminated and they would immediately jump in the Ganges to purify themselves. So this is subtle energy which is very difficult to understand by logic. Narottam Das Thakur says, Darshane pavitra hoile paschata pavana. Just by seeing a pure devotee, darshan, if by multiple bathing in Ganges, one gradually becomes purified, but by one vision of a pure devotee, pape dure jai, all the pap go away from that person. That's why there is so much emphasis on the association of pure devotees. And this is not only like every person carries a particular energy with them. But if somebody is living a pure life according to dharma, everything they do is auspicious for everybody, and everybody reciprocates also. This is also how karma works, how dharma works. So Maharaj Yudhishthira was so pious. All the people who were under his rule became very pious. It is said nobody would fight amongst each other. When Duryodhana was leading, it was a total mess and total chaos. And it was because of the purity of the leader matters a lot. That's why we also see Prabhupada also says purity is the force. When Srila Prabhupada was preaching, we see thousands and thousands of devotees were taking to Krishna consciousness. So it is very, very, purity is the force. Recently, I went to this retreat, yatra of my spiritual master, 10,000 devotees. And I was thinking purity is the force. Mother Earth reciprocates, nature reciprocates, dharma reciprocates, living entity reciprocates. So the word becomes a reflection of our consciousness, which is actually it is. When we live a pure life, it has a positive impact in the society. That's why it also says that if you want to change the society, change yourself. Don't try to change the society because your words will be powerless. Unless Prabhupada says, the success of our movement is dependent upon how strictly the leaders are following the regulative principles, how strictly they are living a pure life. That's why, and why people have lost faith in spirituality and religion is because of the impiety of the spiritual leaders. People have lost faith. So we see that's why when Sonak Rishi asked what happened when Yudhishthira Maharaj was ruling, then Sutta Goswami goes into ecstasy. Sutta Goswami says, oh, everything was very prosperous. The cows, what is the relationship of Duryodhana ruling and Yudhishthira ruling, and the cows are happy? This is also similar thing was seen when Lord Ramchandra was ruling. Nobody was dying before time. Nobody was getting deceased. And here, Sutta Goswami says, when Rishi Maharaj was ruling, there was no disease in the society, no untimely death, no excessive heat or cold. Prabhupada says Michigan has excessive cold because cows are killed. And this is everything Prabhupada says is Shastra. Prabhupada says because cows are killed, there is -30, -20 degrees centigrade weather. But Bhagavatam says when Maharaj Parikshit was ruling, no excessive heat or cold. No trouble from other living entities, no trouble from the mind of the living entities, no trouble from the body in terms of diseases, no trouble from the nature. And everybody was very happy. And everybody has sufficient quantity. Why? Profusely, Mother Earth, mountain, hills, rivers and oceans everybody was giving profusely. So this is one very important lesson, is if we want to bring a change in the society around us, we need to bring the change within us. And to bring a change within us, it's one thing Prabhupada was saying. I think yesterday I was listening a lecture to Prabhupada. Prabhupada was saying, just knowledge is not sufficient. If you know I'm not a body, I'm spirit soul, it's not sufficient. If you know I am Brahman, Brahman means it's not sufficient. You have to act on the level of Brahman. Then there will be benefit. So likewise, knowledge is not sufficient. But acting purely, knowing I need to be pure is not sufficient. Acting on a pure platform requires determination. If one is not determined, then uh, uh, one will not be able to live a pure life. And Prabhupada says, nobody can be pure in actions unless one is pure in mind. If you are not pure in mind, we cannot be pure in actions. And then Prabhupada says, nobody can be pure in mind unless one is pure in eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Prabhupada says. In other words, unless the words we speak are pure, the food we eat is pure, the mind will not become pure. And if the mind is contaminated, actions are contaminated. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Vishaira anna khaila malina hoya mana. If we eat the food cooked by Vishayi, those who are desiring sense gratification, if we eat food cooked by them, mind will become contaminated. Naturally, if mind is contaminated, actions will be contaminated. And then naturally purity is lost. And then our service will be impacted. My spiritual master, His Holiness Sadhana Swami Maharaj says, how we can best serve is by ourselves seriously practicing, sincerely practicing Krishna consciousness. If we are not sincere, anything we do will not have much effect. Another quotation Prabhupada says, one's Krishna consciousness can be seen by one's ability to bringing the conditioned souls to Krishna consciousness. And that's how one can see one's own Krishna consciousness, how much transformation is there in the society. So after describing how Maharaj Yudhishthir, this is the beginning of the chapter. How did Maharaj Yudhishthir rule after he gained the kingdom? Sutta Goswami says, oh, that was kind of, from the description, that was Satya Yuga in the end of Dwapar Yuga, when Yudhishthir Maharaj was ruling. And that's why Sona Krishna, what's his name? Shringi's father. Anyways, Shringi cursed Maharaj Parikshit, but Shringi's father, he was very angry with Shringi because he could see the purity of Maharaj Parikshit. Same thing, when Maharaj Parikshit took the kingdom, we will see that chapter also comes in first canto. Same way he ruled, all glorious. When Vena, this comes in later on, I think third canto it comes. Yeah, when Vena took the kingdom, everything was spoiled. And when his body was changed, Maharaj Prithu, who was incarnation of Krishna, when he took over the kingdom, became the king. Again, Mother Earth and everything became profuse, and all the cities very peaceful. Everything naturally happens. This is also there in Shrimad Bhagavatam 10th canto. The Brahmana son died, and Brahmana comes and curses Maharaj Ugrasena. This must be because of lack of your purity. Otherwise, how can my son die untimely? And Arjuna was listening, and Arjuna says, I take a vow. If I cannot save your son this time, I will enter into fire and end my life. And the son actually died. Arjuna wanted to end his life, and then Krishna took Arjuna to the Vaikuntha planet because Narayan wanted to see him, so Narayan stole the sun. So that's why Arjuna could not do anything, because it was Narayan's will. It is said Krishna's passing is so glorious that even Even the Purusha, Narayan himself, wanted to becomes wondrous when he observes the pastimes of Krishna. He says, wow, these pastimes of Krishna are so attractive. When Narayan's wife Lakshmi sees the pastimes of Krishna, she wants to leave her husband and go and participate in Krishna's pastimes, knowing that her husband is originally an expansion of Krishna anyways. So very interesting that the Brahmana during time of Krishna knows this principle. If something is not going right, the leader is also responsible. And here we see Maharaj Yudhishthir being the leader. Everything was perfect. But naturally, we are the products of Kali Yuga. And past, present, future, everything about us is conditioned. And we have strong attachments, strong conditioning to sinful activities. And that's why it is imperative for us to sincerely work on ourselves. Raghunath Das Goswami says, what is the way? How can we sincerely practice bhakti with our such bad past and such contaminating environment of Kali Yuga, where everything around us is very sinful, and then we are attached from our past lives also, and we are conditioned. So how can somebody live a pure life and practice purely Krishna consciousness? Raghunath Das Goswami said this is only possible in association of devotees. Prabhupada says association gives us strength. If we are alone, Maya will become strong on us. But when we are in association, Prabhupada says Maya cannot break us. Prabhupada gives an example of many bamboo sticks tied together, we cannot break. One bamboo stick, very easy to break. So when we are singled out, very easy to break. But when we are together, when Maya is like, I cannot break them, they are too powerful together. So in association, Raghunath Das Goswami says, whenever lust, anger, envy, pride, ego, illusion, whenever they attack us, Raghunath Das Goswami says, call out to the devotees of Lord, who is the killer of Bakasura. Just like he basically call out to the devotees in association, we can be saved. So very, very nice uh, section of how Maharaj Yudhishthira ruled. And then Lord Krishna, after describing, then Sutta Goswami continued to speak on what is the name of the chapter, the departure of Lord Krishna from Hastinapur to Dwarka. Lord Krishna stayed for a few more months, and then he took permission from Maharaj Yudhishthir. He mounted the chariot, and he was taking permission from everybody to leave. And it was, we know how much affection Arjuna has, Yudhishthir Maharaj has. Kunti Devi prayers we heard in the 8th chapter, last to last chapter we heard how much love Kunti Devi had, Bhishma Dev had, and all the Pandavas obviously. Uttara, when she was in danger, she went to Krishna, Krishna, please, you can take my life but protect my son, who is being attacked by Brahmastra, released by Ashwadhama, and Krishna protected. So anything, and Kunti Devi says they are able to rule the kingdom only because any auspiciousness is in the kingdom is because of your presence. She says, my lord, you don't go. We are okay to suffer more and more again and again, but not at the cost of your leaving us. And finally, Maharaj Yudhishthira says, please stay for some more time. Krishna stayed for some more time. There is, passing away of Bhishma Dev, and a few months have passed. Maharaj Yudhishthira is ruling. And now Krishna wanted to go back because he knows the separation. There's also very, very interesting point that Krishna is not attached. One should understand this. I have seen I've seen when, like in the yatra, many devotees came. Some devotees were mentioning, some came alone without the family. They were mentioning that they were feeling separation from their family and children. And then they wanted to go back after, as soon as yatra was done. So it is natural when we are attached. The moment we go away from our attachment, we go into the mood of separation. And Shrimad Bhagavatam tells us to direct that attachment towards Krishna. And Same thing happens when we are away from Krishna, we go into the separation, especially once we have awakened our attachment to Krishna. So Krishna was away from his 16,108 queens for many, many months. And Krishna was not feeling that separation, but Krishna was going back because they were feeling separation towards Krishna and Krishna want to reciprocate. Today evening we'll discuss Krishna is Akhila Rasamrita Murti. We'll discuss this in more detail in our Bhakti Shastra discussion. He is the source of all the mellows. Krishna reciprocates with everybody's love. Actually, Krishna is very attached to the residents of Vrindavan that is there. But otherwise, just a matter of duty for him. So for many months, Krishna stayed and Krishna wants to go back to, because Krishna is going to different places. Wherever Krishna goes, everybody loves him. He's in Vrindavan, they love him. He's in Dwarka, they love him. He's in Hastinapur, they love him. Wherever Krishna goes, nobody wants Krishna to go away. Mathura, when Krishna went to Mathura, they were afraid after Kamsa was killed. Krishna wanted to go and visit Vrindavan. But Krishna knew that Devaki, Vasudev, and the Yadus will not let Krishna go to Vrindavan because they were having this fear. If Krishna goes to Vrindavan, Krishna may not come back. Krishna will be bound by the affection of Rajavasis and Krishna may not return. So they did not let Krishna go to Vrindavan. Whether it is Mathura, Dwarka, Hastinapur, Vrindavan, wherever Krishna goes, Krishna is loved. In this chapter, we will see when Krishna is departing, so many prayers by women in Hastinapur. When Krishna enters Mathura, all the women are like, wow, what is this? When they're in Vrindavan, they are amazed. When they're in Mathura, they are amazed. When they are in Dwarka, we will see next chapter is Krishna's entrance into Dwarka. And when he enters into Dwarka, wow, it's like life coming back. So this is Krishna. Krishna is all attractive. Wherever Krishna is, love flows, affection is natural, especially amongst devotees. So when Krishna was leaving, all of them, including Yudhishthir Maharaj, Arjun, Nakul Sahadev, Bhima, Gandhari, Uttara, Kunti, Dhritarashtra, Kripacharya, Uddhav not because he was going along with Krishna, they all almost fainted. The woman like Gandhari. Now this is also very interesting that Gandhari was the one who cursed Krishna. After Mahabharat war was over, Gandhari cursed Krishna. That just like I lost everything while I'm living, you will also lose all your relatives. You will also see the death of all your relatives. Of course, nobody can curse Krishna. And if anybody curses Krishna, that is Krishna's will. Nothing happens without the will of Krishna. So Krishna wanted Gandhari because Krishna wanted to glorify the chastity of Gandhari. That's why her curses were powerful, because she was very chaste. When a woman is chaste, whatever she says will happen. There is another story of a woman. She was very chaste to her husband. The husband was cursed by a sage that with the rise of the sun, the husband will die. And this chaste woman, she said, if by the rise of the sun, the husband will die, I curse or I declare that the sun will not rise. And Suryadev could not rise. Then Narayan himself has to, and Devatas have to come to pacify. Yamaraj has to come to pacify. This is the power of chastity of a woman. So Krishna wanted to glorify Gandhari. And Krishna himself desired that the Yadus should leave before I depart, because they are the most powerful. And if the power is misused, because not all Yadus were eternal associates of the Lord, some were demigods also. And not all the Yadus, they know Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead also. Some of the Yadus thought Krishna is a demigod. Krishna is great personality, the best personality, maybe he is a demigod. So not all Yadus were at that level. And Krishna knew that if and they're the most powerful, if they misuse their power, then there will be havoc in the society. So Krishna wanted to make sure that the Yadus, they depart also. And so Krishna used Gandhari, and Gandhari cursed Krishna out of grief from the separation of Duryodhana and other sons. That is also another part of attachment, that when one is attached, one don't see the fault in those whom we are attached, naturally. So she did not see any fault. She saw fault in Krishna for killing or orchestrating the Mahabharat war and becoming the cause of killing the. And attachment also makes us blind. Dhritarashtra was blind because of his attachment. So Gandhari became blind and she cursed Krishna. All the Yadus will die in front of you. And now Gandhari is crying when Krishna is leaving Hastinapur. This is very interesting. So sometimes we may also be taken over by emotions. And then we may do something, say something, but then eventually, she also is very chaste and pious woman and has love for Krishna. Also, she was taken over at that point of time by attachment and emotions. So all of them almost fainted. Uttara, Kunti, Gandhari, all the women, they were blocking their tears, crying very hard when Krishna was leaving. Why? Because they were thinking that if we cry when Krishna is departing, then it will be very inauspicious. That's why they were blocking their tears. Maharaj just arranged, there were different musical instruments that were being played in the honor of Lord Krishna. Arjuna was carrying a decorated white umbrella on Krishna's hand. Uddhav and Satyaki were fanning the Lord, and the Lord was gradually moving his chariot. All the Pandavas were following him. And then there is a beautiful description of all the women of Hastinapur. They climbed on the rooftops and they started showering flower petals on Lord Krishna. And this is the impact of Krishna. Anybody who once sees Krishna, even if they have a very, very little devotion, if anybody sees Krishna, even if they have very, very little devotion, they will immediately develop attraction and attachment to Krishna. There is one verse that Sutta Goswami says. Sutta Goswami says that the power of freedom from bad association. Sutta Goswami says anybody, we will discuss this verse today in more detail at the end of our summary. Sutta Goswami says anybody who is free from bad association, he becomes attached to Krishna even by hearing about Krishna even only once. That is the power of, see, Krishna is all attractive. According to Sutta Goswami here, what makes us immune to be attracted to Krishna is bad association. We see the wives of Brahmana. They never saw Krishna, but they heard about Krishna and they fell in love with Krishna. We see Rukmini. She heard about the glories of Krishna only once, slightly, and she fell in love with Krishna. So anybody who is free from contaminating association, even by hearing once about Krishna, they develop immediately attached to Krishna. So Sutta Goswami says, what to speak about the Pandavas, Kunti, Uttara, who had such deep loving affection for Krishna. And one example given is like gunpowder. You put fire to a small portion of gunpowder and the entire gunpowder will catch fire immediately, just like propane tank or like a flammable object. You put a little bit fire in that and immediately everything catches fire. Likewise, a person who is free from contaminating association, if he is ready, one slight touch with Krishna and his whole being will be surcharged with affection for Krishna. We'll see Prabhupada purport on that in more detail. But Prabhupada says that our biggest bad association is our mind. Prabhupada says. The mind who becomes influenced by the three modes of material nature and then desires to act based on those modes. And it is very, very difficult to say no to our mind, because Arjuna says in the mind is very powerful, obstinate, and Krishna says, but you can still overcome it by practice and renunciation. And we also see that gradually by practice, by our sadhana and by renunciation, we develop more and more strength, we develop more and more determination. Determination increases by our practice of Krishna consciousness. And as we become more determined, we have the power to say no to our mind. Otherwise, we become victim to the three modes. Three modes are very powerfully control us. So the ladies of Hastinapur, as Krishna was leaving, they climbed on the rooftop and they started showering flower petals onto Krishna. And they were sending affectionate glances towards Krishna, filled with shyness. They want to look at Krishna, they feel shy looking at Krishna, but they have intense affection for Krishna. So sweet, smiling glances loaded with shyness. And with that, they are showering flower petals, and they could not stop themselves from talking about Krishna. And it is said that when these ladies of Hastinapur, when they were talking about Krishna, it was more pleasing than the Vedic hymns. Like, when these Brahmanas recite Vedic hymns, it is very pleasing because the Vedas are coming from the breath of the Lord and they are divine sound vibration. They are pleasing. But when this simple women of Hastinapur, when they are on a rooftop discussing about Krishna as Krishna was leaving from Hastinapur, those words were even more pleasing than the Vedic hymns. Prabhupada says, why is it so? Prabhupada says it is so because the Vedas only sparingly glorify Krishna here and there. It's not Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam means Puran Amalam, because continuous glorification of Krishna and his pure devotees. But Vedas, Krishna is mostly hidden. But Krishna says the purpose of the Vedas is to know me. And these ladies of Hastinapur, they will directly glorify Krishna. And Vedas only indirectly glorify Krishna. And Prabhupada said that's why their talks were more pleasing than the Vedic hymns. And then very surprising part, they spoke many things. They were talking about Krishna, and their talks were mainly divided into two parts. In the first part, they are discussing about the glories of Krishna. They say, this is very interesting. Whatever Kunti Devi says about Krishna, these simple women of Hastinapur are glorifying Krishna in the same way. They begin their conversation. One woman says, here is the original Purusha. Purusha means Narayan. Here is the original Purusha, in whom all the living entities merge at the time of annihilation. Now this shows they are very shastrically sound. Same thing Bhishma Dev says, Krishna is not an ordinary person who is walking amongst you. He is not your relative, he is not your friend. He is the source of Narayan. Same Kunti says, your activities of past lives are very bewildering. Although you are everything, you are the source of everything, you are the Paramatma. Still, you act and it is very bewildering the way you act. And these women of Hastinapur, when I read it before, when I was reading again, I was appreciating everybody is, it is also says Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam. Krishna give the intelligence. Anybody who has affection from Krishna can understand Krishna. Krishna can be understood not by reading scriptures. Krishna can be understood by Krishna's mercy. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, there is a description, Gopinath Acharya tells Sama Bhattacharya, you are not able to understand the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's glories because you have not received the mercy of the Lord. One who receives the mercy of the Lord can understand the Lord. And mercy of the Lord is received through bhakti. And because they were having that loving affection, they seemed to know everything about Krishna. Krishna also says, how do we know him? How do we know Krishna? Many times Indians say, yeah, we know Krishna. We know Krishna. But they don't understand Krishna. Why? Krishna cannot be known. By knowing the name Krishna, by seeing the form Krishna, does not mean you know Krishna. Or just because Krishna is in our culture doesn't mean we know Krishna. Krishna says, Bhaktya Mama Janati. Only by bhakti can I be known. And because they are so affectionate towards Krishna, they have all the understanding. As Krishna was walking by, they are throwing flower petals. They are saying, this is the original Purusha, the source of Narayan, and in whom all the jivas merges. He is the one under whom Maya Devi works. I was like, wow, they seem to know everything. Krishna says, Maya Adhyakshina Prakriti. Maya is working under, I am the Adhyaksh. I am the superintendent of Maya. They say he is a personality under whom the Maya Devi works. The living entity, the living entity, by his arrangement, the living entity enters into the Maya jurisdiction and get various names and forms. In 18th chapter, Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna explains, Brahmayan Sarva Bhutani Yantra Rurani Maya. That all living entities are doing Brahman. They are wandering in this material existence in different bodies, which are given by Maya. And here these simple women are telling, here is the original Purusha in whom all the Jiva enters at the time of annihilation. And he is the one under whose direction the Maya works. By his arrangement, the Jiva enters into the jurisdiction of Maya and get various names and forms. He is the source of creator, Brahma, annihilator, Shiva. He is the original creator, maintainer, and destroyer, the cause of all causes. And then these women, they explain, his form is meditated upon by great yogis. Those who are purified in their heart by intense bhakti can realize him within their heart. This very same form that we are seeing now. They love Krishna. All the women of Hastinapur, they love Krishna. Affectionate glances, showering flowers, and discussing direct glorification of Krishna. And that's why these talks were more pleasing than even the Vedic hymns. And then they say his pastimes are described in a very confidential portion of the Vedas. Krishna's pastimes are very, very confidential. That's why we don't access Krishna's pastimes right away. Prabhupada says first we become purified by reading 9 cantos. And then in a purified state, we approach Krishna's pastimes. They're a very confidential part of the Vedas. And these simple women are selling this person's pastimes. They are glorified in the very confidential portion of the Vedas. He comes again and again whenever there is a rise of adharma. He is the one who establishes dharma. So from the rooftop, they are talking among themselves, they're glorifying Krishna, and their words are absolute truth. And their words are glorification of Krishna. And then after glorifying Krishna in various ways, then they say just like Brahma became bewildered also, and he stole the cowherd boys. But when he received the mercy of Krishna, when he took a humble position, he surrendered. He received the mercy of Krishna. Krishna revealed himself to Brahma. Brahma is offering these prayers to Krishna of who Krishna is. And these simple women of Hastinapur are offering the same prayers. Then they say, how fortunate is the Yadu dynasty. How fortunate is Mathura dynasty that Krishna performed his pastimes and Krishna lives there. How fortunate are the queens that they are able to taste the nectar of Krishna's lips. What to speak about Rukmini and others? Krishna, the original Purusha, stole them from their Swamvar. I mean, see, this is pure devotion. Pure devotion, no envy. They're not thinking, there is admiration, but there is no envy. The difference between admiration and envy means you hate others who are superior to you and you want their position. Admiration is you are just happy glorifying them. They are telling how fortunate, how many births of austerity, piety, sacrifices, undivided bhakti must these queens have performed. That Krishna, the supreme original Purusha, the source of Maya, the original creator, the all living entities are his part and parcel. That Krishna, he went himself to stole Rukmini from the Swayamvar. What a great fortune of Rukmini. What a great fortune of Raja Gopis. Who would control him? And who received unlimited affection from Krishna? What is the and then these women says, what is the position of Dwarka? It is more glorious even the heavenly planets, because the Dwarka Vasis, Krishna lives with them. Krishna is leaving this woman of Hastinapur. He's going to Dwarka. So they are admiring Krishna lives with them. How greatly fortunate. So now they are admiring Vrajvasis, Mathuravasis, Dwarkavasis, Yadu dynasty, Rukmini and the queens, the gopis, these how greatly fortunate and how many austerities, and this is how they are admiring. Same admiration Brahma gives. Brahma says, what is the qualification of these cowherd boys? The original source of Narayan is playing with them as an equal. How many pieties they must have performed. This Yashoda and Nanda are thinking him as the son, and he is giving them pleasure just like a son. What is their qualification? Then Brahma says, my lord, if you want to give me any benediction, if I have ever rendered any service to you, please give me a residence on the outskirts of Vrindavan, in the dust of Vrindavan. Uddhav says, my lord, give me residence as a blade of grass, so I can receive the dust of the gopis who are the topmost devotees of Lord Krishna on my head. Admiration. Brahma's admiration. Kunti Devi's admiration. Bhishma Dev admiration. And here, the simple women of Hastinapur are glorifying. This is like the most confidential portion of the Vedas are spoken by the simple women, because they have this loving affection for Krishna and they are showering flowers. And as they're talking in this way from the rooftop, Krishna understood how much love and affection, and then Krishna only gives them understanding. That's why they have this understanding. Today I was hearing a lecture. Yesterday actually I was hearing a lecture by Prabhupada. Prabhupada says, knowing today morning actually I was hearing. Prabhupada says, knowing Krishna is great is not sufficient. Try to understand how great is Krishna. Just knowing Krishna is great is not sufficient. See how great is Krishna. That itself is possible only by Krishna's mercy. And these simple women of Hastinapur are giving us a glimpse of how great Krishna is. And then Krishna always reciprocates with the love of his devotees. So Krishna was looking at all of them as they are describing, glorifying, admiring Krishna and Krishna's devotees. Krishna is looking at them and giving smiling glances. And through that, he is reciprocating with their affection. And he just walking, he is hearing everything. Why? Because Upanishads explain his legs and hands, his ears, they're everywhere. There is nothing that Krishna is in our heart. He is outside. He is everywhere. Krishna is Achintya. He is everywhere. So in this way, Krishna started leaving. All the Pandavas, like see Pandavas, Kunti, they are like the royal kingdom. Dhritarashtra, Gandhari, Kripacharya. They are like the royal people. So they are directly seeing of Krishna when Krishna was going. They had access to Krishna. But other simple women of Hastinapur, they can only glorify him from the rooftop. Because they're not in the royal family. They don't have that much access. So here on the down, they were checking their tears. Gandhari, others, they were checking their tears. They were going in an almost fainted state. They were seeing of Krishna. They went very far along with the chariot of Krishna. And Krishna with great difficulty convinced them that you return. And then gradually, with a broken heart, with tearful eyes, they all returned. And Krishna is equally reciprocating with the Pandavas and with the simple women of Hastinapur and anybody who was. And in this way, Krishna made his departure from Hastinapur. And finally, it says Krishna went to many provinces like Panchal and others. Panchal is, Draupadi's father. Dhruv, his kingdom is Panchal, and from Hastinapur to Dwarka there are many kingdoms. So in the daytime, Krishna would travel. When the evening comes, Shamkishore Prabhu, Prabhuji is calling me. Somebody is calling. I heard the name. So when Krishna was passing by, he was passing by through Panchal and various kingdoms. Wherever he went, he was worshipped by those. He was welcomed, received, worshipped. Then Krishna would perform his evening rites. He would stay in the night there. Next day morning again. It's a long distance. Wherever he went, he was worshipped. This is Krishna, the Supreme Personality of God. So that's the summary of departure of Lord Krishna from Dwarka. Now we will see one verse. This is first canto, chapter 10, which is the departure of Lord Krishna for Dwarka. And we will read verse number 11 and 12. Satsanga mukta du sango hato notsahate buddha kirtya manam yasho yasya saked akarnya rochanam tasminyashta dhiya partha saheran viraham katham darshana sparsha samlapa shayanashana bhojanai. The intelligent who have understood the Supreme Lord in association with pure devotees and have become freed from bad materialistic association can never avoid hearing the glories of the Lord, even though they have heard them only once. Those who have pure devotee association and who are free from bad association, they cannot avoid hearing about the Lord because they are so attractive. They cannot avoid hearing about the Lord even if they have heard only once. How then could the Pandavas tolerate his separation? For they had been intimately associated with his person, seeing him face to face, touching him, conversing with him, and sleeping, sitting, and dining with him. Anybody who once sees Krishna, they are captured. Kubja saw Krishna and Kubja was like, Krishna, now I cannot let you go. The Mathura queens, the residents of the women of Mathura saw Krishna, they were like, wow. When Krishna was in a wrestling match, when others saw Krishna, they were like, wow. Mathura queen or the gopis of Vrindavan, they all curse Brahma for creating the eyelid that is obstructing their vision of Krishna. So Krishna's beauty is such that anybody watches one. It is said, today I was reading, Krishna's beauty is described as ever fresh. Just meditate on this verse. Krishna's beauty is described as ever fresh. Sometimes people take bath and they do a lot of things that they need to do in order to look fresh. But Krishna's beauty is described as ever fresh. It means anybody who looks Krishna, they will like, it's like invigorated. It's like bringing life, like wow. Ever, anytime you look at Krishna, ever fresh. Just meditating on this one now. So Krishna's beauty is like that. It is supremely attractive, ever fresh, pleasing. So, and it is so attractive to them that a moment of not seeing Krishna is like, they are cursing Brahma. So here, the Pandavas, it is said, Pandavas, how can the Pandavas tolerate his separation when they are seeing him face to face, touching him, sleeping with him, sitting with him, dining with him, conversing with him. So it's just because Krishna would bow down to Maharaj Yudhishthira, and Krishna was ready to become the messenger for Maharaj Yudhishthira. What a fortunate glories of Maharaj Yudhishthira. Maharaj Yudhishthira says, I have no love for Krishna. See Hanuman, how he served the Lord. He is better devotee than me. We have Bhagavatam that speaks in those directions. Srila Prabhupada purport, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The living being's constitutional position is one of serving a superior. He is obliged to serve by force the dictates of illusory material energy in different phases of sense gratification. And in serving the senses, he is never tired. Even though he may be tired, the illusory energy perpetually forces him to do so without being satisfied. So this is one thing Prabhupada says, that the constitutional position of a living entity is to serve a superior. Prabhupada also says, either we are serving our senses, either we are serving the illusory energy of the Lord, or we are serving Krishna and his devotees. But Maya is very cruel. Even when we are serving our senses, or we are serving Maya, a living entity is never tired. Although it is, the illusory energy of the Lord, Maya kicks the living entity. Whenever the living entity tries to exploit Maya, Maya kicks them. But the living entity still hopes against the hope and still wants to serve Maya. One lecture I was hearing, one can give up one service to Maya by directing that service attitude towards Krishna. Everyone is a servant. Everyone has to serve somebody or something. Either we are serving Maya or we are serving Krishna and his devotees. That choice is voluntary. If we, just like anything we direct towards Krishna becomes purified. Likewise, the perfection of love is towards Krishna. Perfection of service attitude is towards Krishna. Usually people are very much eager to serve when they get a salary or when they get something for themselves, something material for themselves. They're very eager to serve. Just like it is said in scriptures, it is said, Griha Medi is described as hen-pegged husband who is willing to do anything for his wife because he's getting his senses satisfied. That's called hen-pegged husband. So we see how carefully King Puranjan would serve Urvashi. Why? Because there is something. So people are very eager to serve the manager to get a salary, or to serve a man or a woman, or to serve to get something in return. But the perfection of that service is when it is directed towards everyone has to serve. But if the service is based on something in return, then that will cause bondage and there will be a reaction. So it is but the service attitude is purified when that service attitude is directed. It is very difficult for one who is in mode of passion, because of mode of passion means I am serving, I need something in return. But mode of goodness is I am serving because I want to serve. And Prabhupada said that's the meaning of Hare Krishna. Mahamanta, my Lord, how can I serve? How can I engage in your service? Please engage me in your service. Even though he may be tired, the illusory energy perpetually forces him to do so without being satisfied. There is no end to such sense gratificatory business, and the conditioned soul becomes entangled in such servitude without hope of release. When one is engaged in servitude, in sense gratification, one is getting more and more bound, and Prabhupada says, without any hope of release. The release is only effected by association of pure devotees. By such association, one is gradually promoted to his transcendental consciousness. Thus, he can know, we were discussing by power of association, power of seeing a Vaishnava, and the power of purity. We began our discussion with that. By such association, one is gradually promoted to his transcendental consciousness. Thus, he can know that his eternal position is to render service unto the Lord, and not to the perverted senses in the capacity of lust, anger, desire to lord it over, etc. Every living entity is trying to serve anger, serve lusty desires, serve greed. People are trying to serve the senses. Uh, yeah, nobody can get relief by serving these things. His eternal position is to render service unto the Lord and his pure devotees. Material society, friendship, and love are all different phases of lust. Home, country, family, society, wealth, and all sorts of corollaries are all causes of bondage in this material world. Everything binds. Prabhupada says, um, my nation, my country, uh, my, my. It's extended, but it is all principle of lust. Lust means attachment. Lust causes bondage in this world, attachment. Also, when we are overcome, when we identify ourselves with those affections, with those attachments, it is very difficult to feelingly take shelter of Krishna. The most fortunate person is one who can completely, without any deviation, with single pointedness, can take shelter of Krishna. Where the threefold miseries of lives are concomitant factor. By associating with pure devotees and by hearing them submissively, attachment for material enjoyment becomes slackened. An attraction for hearing about the transcendental activities of the Lord becomes permanent. Probably, how do we come out of this? By hearing about Krishna. By hearing about Krishna, our material affection, material enjoyment, attachment to material enjoyment will slack. And attraction towards the Lord and Lord's activities will become more prominent. Once they are, they will go on progressively without stoppage, like fire in gunpowder. It is said that Hari, the personality of Godhead, is so transcendently attractive that even those who are self-satisfied by self-realization and are factually liberated from all material bondage also become devotees of the Lord. Under these circumstances, it is easily understood what must have been the position of the Pandavas, who were constant companions of the Lord. They could not even think of separation from Sri Krishna, since attraction was more intense for them because of continuous personal contact. His remembrance by his form, quality, name, fame, pastimes, etc., is also attractive for the pure devotee. So much so that he forgets all forms, qualities, name, fame, and activities of the mundane world. And due to his mature association with pure devotees, he is not out of contact with the Lord for a moment. The sum and substance is here associate with pure devotees of the Lord and direct our service attitude towards serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead as per His will. And as we engage in our service to the Lord, our service to this material world is slackened. As we hear the glories of the transcendental activities of the Lord, because the Lord is all attractive, we become attracted to Him. So once we become attracted to Him, our attraction keeps going on. Just like Ganga, nothing can stop Ganga from meeting the ocean. Likewise, devotional service once began cannot stop. And now we have to cultivate our progress of devotional service by watering and nourishing our bhakti seed, which is by hearing and chanting. By hearing and chanting, our Krishna consciousness will develop, will gradually develop. And by sincerely practicing the four regulative principles, we will avoid speed breakers. By focusing on hearing and chanting and by strictly following the four regulative principles, it will be a smooth ride by which we can progress and soon develop our attachment to Lord Krishna and go back home, back to God. Okay, so I would like to stop here and see if there is any discussion from today.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Prabhu Dandavat Pranam, Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Prabhuji, one question. How the simple woman of Hastinapur knows about that detail of Krishna?
I had the same question, bro.
Are
So
they in previous life something? Because they are just how they know? I mean, that details which even lot of Yadu dynasty people doesn't know, lot of other great sages doesn't know, demigod doesn't know.
very interesting. I was thinking about this, Prabhu. One answer came to me is bhakti. One answer came to me is association of Kunti and other pure devotees of the Lord. See, Kunti Devi prayed. They were listening. One answer is their association. Yadus don't have actually much association of pure devotees. They own only pure devotee that I know who is like famous and very much attached to Lord Krishna is Uddhav. And Uddhav tells that it is so unfortunate Krishna was amidst them, but they could not understand who Krishna was. So one is the association of pure devotees, another the knowledge is not, as I was mentioning, knowledge is not attained by hearing, knowledge is attained by bhakti. Krishna says, Bhaktya mam abhijanati. By bhakti, you can know me. So bhakti reveals everything. It is as bhakti is like the sun, which reveals everything. Their association and their own bhakti, and it just Bhagavatam does not say what is their previous life or how they have that understanding, but it is just very purifying to see that they have that level of affection for the Lord.
Prabhuji, association that answers, but then why it's mentioned like it's a simple woman? Then they can say like it's a devotee. That women who are devotee of the Lord, like
Yes.
it's not mentioned like that, you know.
Well, simple women, we mean only like commoners, like mass, like Hastinapur की common ladies भी ऐसे भक्त हैं भगवान से. In that way we can say.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Masiva. Hare Krishna. Very nice question. Okay. Anyone else has anything? All right. So thank you all for joining. We will resume next week on how Lord Krishna was received when he entered Dwarka. That will be our next week discussion. Vanchakalpatarubhesha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namo. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you very much. Prabhuji's Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Dandavat Pranam, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare
Dandavat
Krishna.
Pranam. Thank
Thank you very
you.
much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Dhanvat Pranam.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. Thank you, Lord.